connect. When we look at the markets in general, it's a pretty large combined market between fishing or global marine electronics and also UAVs. So it's pretty large, which is another reason why we got into the business. We look at comparison. These are a lot of the major players. If you guys have ever been on a marina, or on a boat, there's a bunch of different navigation products out there that are more monitor based. And when you look at fisheries, you've got people on shore to people on a boat to people that might be using one of these devices as well. So our value prop is we bridge that, right? We actually take a sonar device and drone and combine the two to be able to leverage both of those technologies to provide the operator with something that they've never seen before. Typically what happens when you're on a boat or on shore, this is what you're looking at. Well, how do you decide where you're going to go? Your only apparatus to utilize in that discovery is your boat attached sonar, or if you're on shore, you can't see inside the water, right? Or if you can see in the side of the water, it's a really limited distance that you're able to see. So there's some things that you might be able to throw out there and then wheel it in off your fishing line, and you might get a slight picture, but you can't go past, 20, 30 yards. So that's the limitation. And then when you're looking at other marina technology, you actually have to operate your boat in that direction, or whatever direction you decide. And that's how you gain data before you understand what's happening underneath the water. So imagine, if you would, if you kind of already knew where to go because you already took a look, across that whole span to see what's there. Again, you don't really know where to go versus, right? Well, first we're going to go over here because this is where, we've taken a picture of all these little circles are depictions of our. And this is an area we think is interesting over here and up here. So this is how we'll decide how to navigate, right? Because one area might have fisheries. We might know where there's, launching orca, etc. Not so much because they're on the surface of the water, but they're actually underneath. Let alone when you get into, what was her name? Naya, the actress from Glee. You look at Frogman and just the whole, what they call search and recover, not so much search and discover, but search and recover initiatives, or search and rescue instead of search and rescue, search and recover. That is a huge initiative that requires typically frogmen. So now you've got people diving into water. How does that going to affect them? How much time can they dedicate to that? There's only so much time in the day that they can do that kind of work, and then they have to come back and regroup and do it again the next day. The ability for us to take a look at all these little sonar pictures to see exactly what that whole landscape looks like, without putting any pressure or any kind of wear and tear on the frog people or boat using gas, etc. Allow our efficiency in search, discover, or rescue initiatives. When we actually take a look at the strategic control, this is kind of how we're going to, we can't really do these shows anymore because the wonderful virus that's it remains to be seen. Yes, and the different shows are going to approach it, but this is what everybody's trying to figure out. I really doubt that they're going to have 1,000 people in some type of platform where they're all going to be at home on laptops trying to virtually through. I have no idea. As strategies come out within these different shows, I'm pretty sure we will participate with those as well. So from timelines, this is where we are. We're in the middle of creating funds, right? Which is how we came across a million cups to kind of get better prepared for those initiatives. We started this over a year ago, raised an initial amount, started to create materials for it, started testing, test proof positive. So what we're able to do now from a technological standpoint is take a sonar device and utilize that over a kilometer away from the operator. No one's even close to that kind of technology. So when you take a look at a typical boat attached, they're able to go out maybe 100-kilometer radius, 200-kilometer diameter around the boat. So then they have to drive the boat out, and you have to look at it as a cone. So at the near the boat, it's at the smallest or the pinnacle of the cone, and then as that device pings or shoots its signals out, it comes in a cone, then it bounces back to that device, and you get some type of picture underneath. But all proximity to the boat. What we've been able to do is attach a sun onto a waterproof drone, and that then goes that information back to the operator, whether they're on the boat or on land, doesn't matter where they are. As long as they have the controls, they get that information. So that's they're in process right now. So that was proof positive in April. We patented in July. In the middle of raising fund. We'll build hopefully the prototype this month. We're in the middle of doing to try to get it done by the end of the year, and then launch towards that time frame as well to start building. Ooh. So we've got some revenue models as well. We think that these are pretty decent, realistic numbers, but again, we'll revise these as well as we meet with our different investor groups. This is our initial team. We've got some other people too that have helped us out. Paulusum, that's part of that brought us into the 1 million cups. And the rest of these guys are also part of the team that are really innovative and have innovation within their genes to help us get this project off the ground. No pun. And that is us. Any questions?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I recognize that.
Uh-oh.
You're really
Wait, is this the Android again? Is this the Android? I'm talking to the Android. I don't speak Android. I'm sorry.
You're really, really broken up, Tara. Can't hear.
Sounds like an auto-tuned Android.
Yeah, you might see if you can kill the video and if that enhances the audio. Because it might be a bandwidth thing.
Bandwidth issue, yeah. Not a microphone issue.
Quick question to the audience: were you guys able to follow me all the way through, or was I perfect? Thank you.
Clear.
I knew what you were saying anyways.
Oliver, very great presentation, Oliver.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it.
Very,
You had a really,
very good
I
presentation.
remember yours too. That was really well done too. Thank you.
Very well. And congratulations. I love the project.
Trying to get it there.
Yeah, and good luck. Good luck.
Thank you. It's I'm really excited because the space well, kind of like what I think Brett did with Dan, who brought up the different regulations about it. I think that's one of the things that was mentioned. And so I'd like to turn that over. Oh, is that Android? Is that Android talking again? Oh no.
You cannot hear at all.
Okay. So TC is Transport Canada, US. Where they are, what I do know is that users multiple aspects to so in other words, and I'll certainly turn that over. But what I know about it is from a federal standpoint, how do you create an air lane, so to speak, where a drone can operate in the same space as a manned flight that is not commercial, right? Let alone a commercial flight. So they've kind of written some of those regulations in currently, but when you get into some of the stuff that like Uber Air is proposing, where there's going to be a drone that drops in your yard and picks you up and then takes you somewhere, it's like, is it really? Right? Because you have to have really, high-end licensing and regulations so that that apparatus can come into your yard and pick you up. And what does that pilot look like? What's his, all that regulation hasn't even, it might be conceptualized. But one of the things that we found out too last year was the first visual beyond line of sight confirmation flight that actually happened in Alaska. And they did that on a pipeline. And in order to do that, they had these monitors on the ground through the whole flight that was looking up at the UAV. At the same time, the UAV had a monitor that was looking down at them. So there was kind of this cross thing. Well, it's like, you're not going to put these monitors on the ground everywhere these UAVs are going, right? So that whole thing is, I don't know how far out they are. It seems to me like it's a ways off, but I'll turn that over and see if we can get a little bit more clarification on that from knowledges, buddy, if you don't mind.
Oliver, what do you mean by Uber Air?
Uber, like the Uber
The car people, right?
Okay, and
There's a bunch of companies, including Uber, that are looking at building drones. I'm not sure that's the word we ought to be using for this, but manned vehicles that are going to transport customers from one location to another that are going to fly through the air.
wow.
Yeah, that's, I think, a ways off.
What year? In 1 year? How many years?
Brett says we're close. Are we close, Brett?
Yeah, let me clarify a thing. I put a link in there so you can understand what Uber Air is about.
Thank you.
They're further along and farther than you know. Yes, there may be 300 eVTOLs announced, but really, not many of them are that far along on certification with the FAA process. About 8 of them are. One of the ones locally here in California that is so far along is Joby Aviation, Joby. Major investments by Toyota, JetBlue, and Intel with them, and aggressive, doing really well. They are hiring like crazy. Take a look at their stuff. But I think you'd be surprised how far along some of it is. The initiatives by Hyundai. Hyundai announced an aircraft, and they put $1.3 billion behind that initiative. And there's more, but that's the short version. With the other, on the pilot side, yeah, you're going to have pilots. There's a great McKinsey report as well that outlines a lot of that. And if you want, I can find a link and send that to you as well. But you'd be surprised. It's chugging along pretty well behind the scenes.
Yeah, for sure. And are they contemplating all of this urban transport? And sorry, what I saw you shake your head when I was talking about calling them not calling them drones.
Yeah, there's only one company that was going to do autonomous from the beginning, and that's Wing. That's part of the Alphabet Google project. They're going to jump ahead that way. Everyone else is doing piloted craft.
Yeah,
so it's an aircraft.
Yeah.
35.
For sure.
It's an aircraft, but the interaction systems are not like a normal aircraft in that way. One of the companies to look at, which is really interesting, is something called Skyrise. I'll put a link in here as well. They're working on a simplified flight OS for helicopters and existing craft to be kind of even retrofitted, but flight OS, kind of think of it as iOS for your phone, but they're a flight
right.
And I'll share a link in a moment.
Yeah, no worries.
Play an Xbox, you can fly a helicopter.
Sure. maybe with
one of the things that we like,
modified system in it. All good. All right. Well,
And
one of the
you know,
things we like to ask,
sorry. Go ahead, Tara.
one of the things that we like to ask every week and make sure that we're clear on it is specifically what can our 1 million cup Santa Barbara chapter do for Union Aerospace?
Well, I definitely think Brett and the crew need to exchange contact information with us. If you guys seem to be deep into the regulation side of things, and we have a very vested interest in knowing what the leading edge, cutting edge of all of that is in terms of integrating unmanned aircraft into the space. So, I mean, it's all part of the aerospace ecosystem that is rapidly evolving. And if there's anything we can do to integrate with you guys, that'd be fantastic.
We're all about making the space safe for all comers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And to move it forward, we all have to collaborate a great deal, and that's what we're finding as well. With even from Uber as well, they're shifting. They know they've got to not be the 900-pound gorilla in the room.
Yeah, well, nobody wants to be the Betamax, right?
Exactly.
So as a somewhat lay person, I was in the trucking industry for 7 years, and like I'm kind of back into supply chain, like journalism and some other stuff, like technical writing. Why is the jump straight to passenger? I feel like there's so many more safer, provable, like industrial applications for all this technology than jumping straight to putting a human being, you know, in a drone. Like,
really, the jump there, where the money is to be made right now is not, you know, delivering burritos by drone.
Yeah.
It's really the space where they're making money is the medical delivery. There's a company we're engaged with in, they're doing operations in Scotland, in UK. They just got a contract also with the state of Massachusetts in the Department of Transportation for delivering this as well. Really, the first one was really in North Carolina. It was amazing. They did the first human organ flight for because for what's the right word? Because it needed to be
Time is of the essence.
person died, and they had to get the organ transfer. So we're doing that in 2018, 19 now. So they're doing as the medical stuff is where the money is, and in drone delivery currently.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking more like from like prospecting. I know it has huge uses in agriculture and like a lot of like stuff like that. So I was just wondering why like I hadn't seen as much like quite the race from the big guys to that sort of thing as I'm seeing with like passenger transport and like you said like on the spot delivery, which makes sense. Like obviously delivery is the
Right back.
holy grail.
I'll be right back.
So.
Well, heavy lift, you know, flights are a real strain on battery capacity. You know, that's the limiting factor here. And there are actually autonomous systems being deployed by Sikorsky through a number of partners, retrofitting older electromechanical diesel helicopters with the capability to take over whenever a pilot gets into a danger zone. And this is really useful for like fire suppression pilots, because, you know, the air currents that come off the fire are so strong and unpredictable that having a helicopter that can avoid obstacles, it can, you know, counteract any shifting atmospheric conditions and can even land itself, you know, even if the pilots are completely incapacitated. You know, it's a revolution in safety, which has always been one of the limiting factors for widespread adoption. and then you will get major cost efficiencies with battery technology. But humans are a lot lighter than what your average semi truck hauls, right?
All right, and on that note, it's a little bit after 10 o'clock, so I hate to break you guys off in the middle of the conversation, but we do like to end this on the hard hour. So thank you very much, Oliver and Howard, for talking to us today about your organization and ways that we can help you. And I'd like to ask you guys, are you both available on LinkedIn?
Yes, we are.
Yep.
So please, everybody, if you would like to connect with Howard or anybody else here, and Oliver, Oliver's information is actually in our 1 Million Cups database, and you can connect with Howard also through LinkedIn. So
I just put my
definitely do that.
email.
That's how we keep these connections going. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can't say enough how useful that is. You never know. A month from now, you're thinking of something that would be relevant to somebody you talk to on this conversation, and then not know how to get in touch with them, and that's why LinkedIn is so great. So connect with them.
We're not waiting a month.
Yeah, that's right. Tell us today, darn it. So and share the love. Love for Union Aerospace. Share the love for anything else that you've learned here during our conversation for the 1 Million Cups program. Invite your friends to participate. We'd love to connect with them. And next week, we have Mr. Duke Roonley here on with us today, and he is going to be our speaker next week. He's starting a sober revolution. He's with Sober AF Entertainment, or SAFE. Duke attended Bellarmine University, and we are looking forward to his presentation, which is Sober AF Entertainment. And the quote of the week is, don't limit your challenges, challenge your limits. And this is something I tell my daughter all the time. If it's hard, do it more. So that's my advice for you today. And I really appreciate you guys' participation in the conversation today. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,